All right, the Creative Act session 4. So the first line he says, the work is being created on a subconscious level. The material exists hidden within. So he was talking about when he's in the studio with artists and they just kind of sit down, close their eyes and start humming, or they'll start speaking gibberish, but like all that leads to something creative. And so he kind of talks about like diving into your subconscious mind or like going into a different realm to kick in your artistic ability. And he has this line that says, bouncing off that, there's great wisdom in transitional realms between wakefulness and sleep. Right before you fall asleep, what thoughts and ideas come to you? How do you feel when you wake up from a dream? I've definitely had a bad tendency to not jot things down. And he mentions you should keep a journal close to your bed. But because I feel like a lot of our dreams that we've experienced are like so unique and creative and out of this world and can be inspiration for something. And so I definitely think and agree that there is great wisdom in transitional realms between wakefulness and sleep. So I definitely am going to take those notes and make that a better habit. So he has this other line that says, the people who choose to do art are many times the most vulnerable. We're all different and we're all imperfect, and the imperfections are what makes each of us and our work interesting. We create pieces reflective of who we are, and if insecurity is part of who we are, then our work will have a greater degree of truth in it as a result. So we're all obviously not perfect. We have weaknesses and flaws that we have like low self-esteem about, but I definitely agree with him, at least for me, that the more I embrace things that I'm kind of like insecure about, the more the art actually makes me me. Like that's what makes you you, and you're unique because of your unique own way. And so I definitely think it's a very hard thing to get the hang of, but once you can kind of embrace your imperfectness, that's what makes you really raw, and that's where the real raw, real art comes from. And most of us are actually insecure about starting new things. And so he has a line that says, all art is a work in progress. It's helpful to see the piece we're working on as an experiment, one in which we can't predict the outcome. Whatever the result, we will receive useful information that will benefit the next experiment, a stepping stone. Setting the bar low, especially to get started, frees you to play, explore, and test without attachment to results. I feel like that's the best way to approach things. Like, no matter how good you are at something, whenever you try something new, you might have some like natural talent compared to other people, but still you're gonna have to like really work hard and start new and maybe look bad. And I feel like if you have the approach where it's like you're just kind of messing around with it, for example, I started learning the piano and I knew I'm not gonna be good in one night or a month or even a year, but I knew like if little increments would add up and eventually I would get better, and I have. But I knew that at first it was just gonna be like a hobby, something I kind of dabbled in, and I was just like humbly learning something fresh. And that's how you gotta treat art as a whole. You definitely have to think of it as like a work in progress where like little things kind of add up. He also mentions that accidents can turn into a surprise. In Japanese pottery, there's an artful form of repair called kintsugi. When a piece of ceramic pottery breaks, they use gold to fill the crack, and it gives a nice physical and aesthetic strength, showing the scars and telling the stories past experimentation. So bouncing off that example, he says, we can apply the same technique to ourselves and embrace our imperfections. Whatever insecurities we have can be reframed as a guidance force in our creativity. So bouncing off that example, he says, we can apply the same technique to ourselves and embrace our imperfections. Whatever insecurities we have can be reframed as a guidance force in our creativity. They only become a hindrance when they prevent our ability to share what's closest to our heart. So as I was saying earlier, your insecurities can be your biggest strength.